LG, Samsung, Sony, and Xiaomi have unveiled their smartphones at Mobile World Congress. So let's have a look at them. Welcome to Spec Hub. Let's get started. The G5 is the new flagship from LG. It seems that a lot has been changed. First, let's have a look at the internals of the G5. Inside, we're having Qualcomm Snapdragon 820 clocked at 2.15 GHz, Adreno 530, 4 GB of RAM, 32 GB of storage with a micro SD card slot, and a 2800 mAh battery, which is removable. On the back, we're having a dual camera setup with a 16 megapixel shooter of f1.8 and a wide angle 8 megapixel shooter of f2.4, and also a fingerprint scanner. Up front, we're having an 8 megapixel shooter of f2.0 and a 5.3 inch Quad HD IPS panel with an always on display which shows time and notifications. Now let's get to the design. The G5 is having all metal build body design and its modular type, so you can take out the module on the bottom and put whatever you like. LG is also providing you some modules like the Cam Plus module, which adds an 1200 mAh battery, hardware controls, and a better grip. We're also having an audio module which is called LG Hi-Fi Plus, which gives pro-grade audio in your G5. Apart from this, LG is also providing you some other accessories like a 360 VR headset, a 360-degree camera, a rolling board, and a toned platinum. LG is calling them friends, so LG G5 and friends. LG have also got a new tagline, "Life's good when you play more," and this is all about the new LG G5. Now let's get to Samsung. Samsung has unveiled their new flagships at Mobile World Congress, the Samsung Galaxy S7 and the S7 Edge. Let's start from the design. The design is similar to the last year's Samsung Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge, but this time we're having curves on the back just like the Note 5 for a better grip. Some features have also came back like the micro SD card slot and IP68 certified water and dust resistance. The S7 is 5.1 inch and the Edge is 5.5. Both are having Quad HD Super AMOLED displays, and like the G5, S7 also has an always on display and also supports wireless charging. We also have an improved Task Edge feature this time on the Edge. Let's talk specs. Inside, we have 4 GB of RAM in both the devices, 32 or 64 GB of storage, 3000 mAh battery in the S7 and 3600 mAh battery on the S7 Edge. And talking about the processor, you might get a Snapdragon 820 and Adreno 530 or Exynos 8890 and Mali T880 MP12 based on the location you are. Now let's get to the camera. We're having a new 12 megapixel shooter with a dual pixel sensor for fastest autofocusing situations. We also have a bigger pixel size of 1.44 microns and a wider aperture of f1.7 for a better low light performance. And in the front, we're having a 5 megapixel shooter with an aperture of f1.7 for your selfies. And this is all about the new Samsung Galaxy S7 and S7 Edge. Sony has introduced their new Xperia lineup, Xperia X, Xperia XA, and Xperia X Performance. Let's start with the Xperia XA, which is more of a budget device. It has a 5-inch 720p display, an octa-core MediaTek Helio P10, Mali T860 MP2, 2 GB of RAM, 16 GB of storage with a micro SD card slot, and a 2300 mAh battery. On the back, we have a 13 megapixel shooter, and on the front, we have an 8 megapixel shooter. And the XA does not have a fingerprint scanner. Next, we have the Xperia X, which is a mid-ranger in this lineup. It has a 5-inch 1080p display, a Qualcomm Snapdragon 650, Adreno 510, 3 GB of RAM, 32 GB of storage with a micro SD card slot, and a 2620 mAh battery. On the back, we have a new 23 megapixel shooter, and on the front, we have a 13 megapixel shooter. And the Xperia X has a fingerprint scanner. Next, the X Performance, which is a high-end device in this lineup. It has the same 5-inch 1080p display but a powerful Snapdragon 820 and Adreno 530 inside. It has 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage with a micro SD card slot and a 2700 mAh battery. On the back, we have 23 megapixel shooter, and on the front, we have a 13 megapixel shooter. And the X Performance also has a fingerprint scanner. Sony are trying to redesign their smartphones, and the new Xperia lineup might replace the Z lineup. Xiaomi Mi 5 is a much awaited device, and Xiaomi has finally unveiled it at Mobile World Congress. The Mi 5 is a 5.15-inch device with a 1080p resolution and has a 16 LED light display. Looking at the design, the Mi 5 has a 3D curved glass back just like the Mi Note and Mi Note Pro, and this time the curves are even better and smoother. For the first time, a Xiaomi device is shipping with a physical home button which also has a fingerprint scanner in it. Now let's talk cameras. On the back, we have a 16 megapixel shooter with an f2.0 and has a 4-axis stabilization. Up front, we have a 4 megapixel shooter with an f2.0 and a pixel size of 2 microns. Now talking about the specs, inside we have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 820, Adreno 530, 3 gigs of RAM, 32 or 64 gigs of storage, and a 3000 mAh battery. Apart from this, we're also having a premium version of the Mi 5 which is called the Mi 5 Pro, which has 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, and a 3D ceramic body. The Mi 5 and the Mi 5 Pro cost much less than other flagships. That's all for this video. Like and subscribe.